זוהי זכותו הטבעית של העם היהודי להיות ככל עם ועם עומד ברשות עצמו במדינתו הריבונית, אשר תפתח לרווחה את שערי המולדת לכל יהודי ותעניק לעם היהודי מעמד של אומה שוות זכויות בתוך העמים. לפיכך נתכנסנו אנו חברי מועצת העם, נציגי היישוב העברי והתנועה הציונית, ביום סיום המנדט הבריטי על ארץ ישראל. ותוקף זכותנו הטבעית וההיסטורית ועל יסוד החלטת עצרת האומות המאוחדות אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל, היא מדינת ישראל. מתוך ביטחון בצור ישראל הננו חותמים בחתימת ידינו לעדות על הכרזה.
I suggest to all potential homeless people to organize an action of protest, and namely to put the tents along the ways where tourist buses are running and write there in huge letters, homeless. So that our state officials will feel ashamed in the eyes of the international community. Well, maybe they won't feel ashamed, but at least they don't want to discover their mean soul on the international level. Maybe we will react in a certain way, but I believe what will they really will do, they will order to special police unit to dissolve these demonstrators. But still I believe that we will have to do such an action. I represent the organization of the former Holocaust survivors, the Russian department. In our organization there are around 200 members, and usually those are people who are elderly, 75 years and plus, and people who are bed-ribbed, confined and nailed to a belt. More than 30% of our organization members don't have any social housing, and they are forced to rent apartments on the free market and to pay for the rented apartments fantastic amounts of money, and every year these amounts of money are increasing, and even the compensation that we are getting from Germany for our suffering, those amounts are not enough in order to pay for the rented apartments. Everything that Germany pays to us, local apartment profiteers are impudently taking from us away. In the conditions of the inflation, which is constantly increasing, we are in a disastrous condition. I don't understand how is it possible that people who are by miracle survived in the Holocaust, they are not worthy of getting social housing. We are turned in homeless vagabonds, tramps that are nearly every year have to move from one apartment to another. There is a proverb saying that 2 such removals are equal to 1 case when house was put on fire. Realistically thinking, I believe that we have better chances to receive housing in the cemetery. Vlad Studios presents documentary series by director Vladimir Meriin and operator Yuri Packer. Jews, welcome home. It's carton, it's cardboard. Is it house, really? Yeah, it's called house. This is Israeli house. That's what house is made of? Yeah, it was our first house in Israel. It was a state program. It was a very puzzling, a very complicated program that was organized and was promising rosy future, serene future. It was a program of the Ministry of Housing? No, it was a state program. What ministry was responsible for this? First, it was a government, and then it was Ministry of Housing, and then Ministry of Industry and Trade, and Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Transportation. Whatever, there were 7 structures. The most important was the Ministry of Absorption, surely, because one of the huge credits that we were taking in order to purchase this housing, it was called State Guarantee Credit, and it consists of 70,000. And Jewish Agency for Israel, Jewish Agency for Israel was taking very active part and cooperated with this program, because even then in the Soviet Union they were telling us and recommending where should we purchase these houses. 2,000 years of blessings and struggle and suffering and dreams and again struggling, and now you are here in Jerusalem West. Just open in Bible and it becomes your guide on this land, and you are returning here. It was happening this way that all these quarters were built on wasteland, what's called wasteland, cheapest land, And for example, our quarter, which was called Shapira, it was built on the junkyard that was called Valley of the Dead. What does it mean, Valley of the Dead? In the local language, they calling it Valley of the Dead, because all the waste products have been thrown here. We went and saw the house, and it was more or less okay, but we never thought, we never imagined that such situation can happen. When we already entered into the house, and after we entered a new house, we invested huge amounts of money and made and repaired everything by our hands. Everything is destroyed here. Plumbing system and bathroom, everything was made, I one day put on washing machine, it was always water flowing in the house. I was opening plumbing system and I saw that the valves are there. Everything holds here on the wing and the prior, and it's not only 1 or 2 people like that. Everything is the same. All the plumbing system and bathroom, everything is a terrible condition. And after 10 months I stayed alone. I never imagined this can happen. One day we called the ambulance and my wife was hospitalized, and after 2 weeks that she was tested and they could not understand what's going on, finally they diagnosed her with oncology of the stomach. After some time she passed the operation, and every day I had to go with her to chemical therapy in Beersheba city in the hospital. I was going in the morning, getting back by the afternoon. This procedure didn't take long, but when I got her from there, I could bring her into the house nearly on my hands. After a certain period of time she felt a little bit better. I came, she was out of the house, and I asked her what's going on, and she said, I'm feeling better. But I told her, don't say that. And that was true, because after 2 months it was renewing all the same. On Friday she was taken to the hospital. We had all her papers ready in case, and on Saturday she was taken into the surgery and she never came back. So do you believe that it's connected and provoked somehow by these houses? Surely it could not happen just occasionally, and especially because there was one man and then his wife near our house, our neighbors, that died. We worked together. He was a healthy man, a normal man, and in 1 month he was gone. And after that, it was my wife that happened with her. And now, right now, there are few people near our house, our neighbors, they're ill also. So, do you believe that there is something that connected to these houses? You know, it's just impossible that all these people, with all of them with the same diagnosis, we don't know each other, we just hear. One person, two, three, five, now I'm alone. And what? I live with tears in my eyes. And do you pay for this house? And it's self-destroying. Surely they didn't annul my credit. I don't know Hebrew, but my daughter, she applied to some governmental agencies and they said, well, you have to write and we will look at it. What does it mean we will try? I don't understand. This insurance policy is up to age of 60. After age of 60, what happens with this credit? Who will pay for it? You know, in the market day, its best price of this house is 20 shekels, but we're paying fantastic amounts of money. For 20 years, it's a paradox of our life. I would understand if it would be built of bricks and blocks or wooden houses in Russia, but this house doesn't cost anything. It's a toy house. It's just impossible to live like that. Everywhere we touch, everything we try, we cannot override this wall. It seems like it's a wall. It's item number 5 in our passport nationality, that, like it was in Soviet Union. There we at least knew that if you have this item number 5 nationality, then you had problems. We had certain problems, but not like this. Our association of householders is making this action of process against this disastrous situation that we are living right now in. I live here for 13 years. All my family is deaf, our children, our grandchildren, and all the time we live in the rented apartment on the free market. We have 2 children. We cannot live far from their kindergartens and schools because those are special schools for children with such disabilities. But these apartments are impossible for us. They're promising us to give social housing, but they always promise. This year they promise, I don't know, in the tomb I will receive this apartment. This rent is always increasing, and salaries are not indexed like this. I'm a welfare recipient. How can I live? Our association acts already for 1.5 years in the framework of the movement for respect, Front for Respect. From this year we're a registered non-profit organization. And our motto is respect from you immigrants. In the translation, in the free translation, it means roof over our head. That's respect from you immigrants. We came from Uzbekistan. We are, with my husband, we are deaf. Hardly we were able to find an apartment. At first we were paying 2,000 shekels and 2,400, and our landlord impudently told to us, if you don't like it, just leave. They give to us some aid, but it's 1,100, but I have to add 1,800. How can I live for this 800 shekels in order to pay for everything, for all the life? We're not slaves. It's not fair. I worked hardly for all my life on the factory, and I came here and found myself in a tight spot. Somebody has to think about this. Please build something for us. Build. I don't understand how Jewish Agency for Israel brings new immigrants here. At first, young people who come here are unable to buy an apartment because it costs fantastic amounts of money. Second thing is that elderly people, welfare recipients, they cannot receive any social housing from the government because Israeli authorities liquidated all this social housing in these 20 years. And third, there's this apartment black marketers lease to us some garages and basements that we just cannot rent, and these new immigrants are working for 16 hours a day and they cannot earn for their living. That's why Israeli people's opposition applies to the Jewish International Congress and asks them to stop funding Jewish Agency for Israel and transfer all these funds to build social housing in Israel. Coming soon, welcome Jews home.